Hello, everyone. I am Baron Baptiste, and we are here disrupting the drift. It's time to rise above the drift of life, challenge the norms, and embrace the extraordinary that lies within each of us. Here together, let's change the narrative of our lives. Let's change the outlooks. Let's change what we are relating to in life and where we're coming from in life. It's an opportunity to look newly. I ask you as a request, and I just want to appreciate you also, all you that are listening. You're sharing the show and just passing it along with your friends, family, social media. It's making a difference. The show's growing, and it's really through you. You are the fire. You are the strength that makes this show happen and grow. So thank you. Also, I want to hear from you, your questions, your stories, your breakthroughs, your feedback. Send them to disruptingthedrift@baronbaptiste.com, disruptingthedrift@baronbaptiste.com. This show thrives on your participation, your contributions. Also, remember, we post 2 of these episodes each week on YouTube. It's the Baron Baptiste podcast channel. It's a new channel. And when you go to that channel, if you're going to witness the conversation as it unfolds and be able to watch it, please the videos, subscribe to the channel. I think there's almost 70 people on the channel, and I want to grow it up to 1 million. I want to grow it to 1 million. We're going to make that happen. David Masters, how you doing?
Fantastic. And I know you have a great topic in store for us today.
Yeah, let's dive right in. Here's the deal. If you don't know who you are, then you lose your soul. If you don't know who you are in life, and you keep going through life not knowing yourself, or at least in the inquiry, the discovery of knowing yourself, then you're left with the external pressures and the external distractions, which inevitably will steal your soul. The wrong people, having the wrong people in your life, being in the wrong kind of environments, doing things you shouldn't be doing. All these things will steal your soul. If you don't know who you are, you're like a bottle being tossed around in the sea, or a leaf in the wind at the effect of life. And the world is sick. It's spiritually sick. There's dis-ease. People are grappling with mental health. So if you are not really working to discover who you are, what you're made of, knowing yourself, life will steal your soul. That's what I want to say. What do you say about that, David? I know it's not a popular thing to say, but I actually think that's how it is.
I will go directly to the Bible for this one.
Okay.
And one of the most powerful, simple statements ever. In your patience, possess ye your soul. Now, what does that really mean? That means that every day of our life is a trial. And it involves tribulations and challenges and all kinds of crazy stuff. And to know who you are, this is the most important key, is to begin to identify who you are not. And I'll tell you one thing, it's so much easier to see who you are not than it is to see who you really are, because who you are is the end result of a process. But the discovery of who you are not means that you can simply use that process conscious elimination, the conscious process of elimination, as I call it, and begin to see that's not me. When you get upset, when you get excited, when you have false hopes about things, or when you have doubts about things, is any of that really you? And so in Luke 21:19, it says, in your patience, possess ye your souls. You're not going to get through. There's no shortcuts for this one. You've really got to step back in these moments of trial, in these moments of challenge, in these moments of doubt, in these moments of worry, because worry is a belief in a negative outcome. You worry about losing your soul, you're going to lose your soul, because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But just let's say this, we don't know who we're going to be. And that's okay. When a child comes into this world, any child, Any of us that came into this world, did anybody know who we were going to do? Did anybody know who Elon Musk would eventually be? Come on. We don't know who we're going to be until we get there. But the process of eliminating at this point, so we've lived our lives as us this long, how much of what we have become are we ready to shed? I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, it's good. It's let go. At the heart of it, the crux of it, let go. And let go of what? The not you.
That's it.
Yeah, I totally jive with that. It's really, you sit and meditate, you sit and be still. Why is it that people grapple so much with sitting still, like meditation? Like it's like people avoid that, but why? If you get curious and go, what is that? There's a kind of pressure. It's a kind of pressure cooker. But when you actually just sit and you just be with your thoughts, you watch thoughts, notice they're moving, they rise up and they pass. Just be with your emotions or the emotions that are there here. You just watch them. They're moving. Maybe they're stuck somewhere in your body or something. But you notice what's present. You notice your body processes, body sensations. Maybe you notice there are like blocks of stuck energy in certain places in your body. But you start noticing that these things are all additions. Like you have thoughts, but you're not your thoughts. You have emotions, but you're not your emotions. You have stories, but you're not your stories. But that's partly why people, I say, and in my experience, and just from my own experience of just sitting and meditating, it's if I have to be with and confront those stories that are running in my head, and then they actually, okay, I'm like, wait, okay, I've got these stories, but are they actually true? Are they actually real? Or is it just my mind thoughting? There's thinking, right? And then there's just thoughting. The mind the brain just doing its thing. And when I stop relating, and now I can see these stories, now I'm not those stories. I'm not the central character, the lead character in those stories, or a secondary character in someone else's story. But then without those stories, this is what I want to say. I'll say it like this. People are attached to their stories. And the reason that I've learned people are attached to their stories is because their stories tell them who they are.
Yes.
And if you lose your stories, you don't know who you are. If you come out of your head and all the thoughts and the thoughting and just the pressure and the stress, if you come out of all that, you don't know who you are. Suddenly it's a different, new kind of pressure. Life is pressure. Pressure is everywhere. If you just, everything in physical universe, there's pressure. In there's creative pressure. If you're creating something, building something, there's just, life is pressure. You're doing yoga or you're sitting and meditating, like just there's pressure. Life is pressure. But there's two kinds of pressure. There's a pressure being imposed on you by the not you, or the things that are not those things that are not you externally that you identify with. Identity, you take your identity, but when you stop identifying with them, now suddenly you start clipping them. It's like scissors. You're just clicking the umbilical cords. Now, okay, you get freed up, but in its presence, there's a different kind of pressure. There's a different pressure of not knowing who you are, perhaps, but I would say just even an energetic pressure. In yoga, they call it tapas, this heat, this detoxifying, cleansing, purifying heat. It's an energy that rises up and it's uncomfortable. If you've done a water fast for any number of days, a fast has its own kind of pressure. It's very uncomfortable when you're detoxing and getting all these sensations. But it's like life is pressure. But are you giving into a pressure that's not you and it's actually undermining you? Or are you a part of a pressure that's propelling you forward and living into a compelling future that allows you to become who you want to become, who you're intended to become in this life?
I want to add to this idea of
Yeah.
in your patience possess ye your souls, because really it's not about a possession. In other words, you don't really own your soul. It's an ethereal thing in and of itself that cannot actually be grasped, or can be controlled, but it can't be literally owned. And here's a little bit of commentary. In your patience possess ye your souls. Better, by your endurance gain ye your lives. The verb, unless used in the prefect in the perfect tense, always involves the idea of acquiring rather than possessing, and the command, so understand, answers to the promise. It's the acquiring of the essence of our being. To acquire is different than to possess. If we have acquired the overarching, let's say, command of our being, then we are stepping into this whole new realm, because the second part of Luke 21:19 says that he that endureth to the end shall be saved. So you see, without the endurance, without the patience that leads to the endurance, the strength can't be built, the character can't develop, the strength of character can't develop, the command over ourselves can't develop. And then what we have is we have a desperation. And so the idea that we don't know who we are, that we're going to lose our soul, that is a true statement. But it's better to begin by seeing who we are not, and we eliminate who we are not, and what's left is who we are. And in acquiring the patience to move that far down the line, to get to that place where we now recognize that all that stuff we believed before was never true, or some of it was true and much of it wasn't. But the endurance is what really matters in this case.
Yeah, the endurance, the resilience, the patience. Also, to me, there's an inherent trust in it. There's in patience, there's a trust, and there's an allowing for life to unfold, and a trust in all is well. Things will sort themselves out. The open doors will reveal themselves when it's time to walk through them. But in patience, you're not forcing through something. It's like that example of you have a rose petal, and if you're forcing the rose to blossom, you end up just breaking off the petals, or you're left with a withered version of a rose. But rather, you're allowing something to unfold and have it give life. It's like the story of, is it Michelangelo? The way he viewed a slab of marble, was he said that God had already envisioned the statue, and his job was to remove the excess marble and free the statue from the stone. So it was like this. There's also, to me, there's a kind of patience in that. It's not forcing something, but it's actually, there's the peeling away of what isn't real, and allowing things to unfold, and seeing, having a vision to see and to hear truth, and when to follow the calling of your conscience.
Yes.
Like that. And if someone throws arrows at you, or there's that Zen saying of, if someone shoots an arrow at you, don't be there. To me, the patience that's a kind of patience in real time. If someone being nasty or brutal or saying things they shouldn't say or like that, and there's a kind of patience. Or you make mistakes, you do something you shouldn't have done, or you didn't do something you should have done. There's also a patience with yourself. And in that patience, there's an unfolding of discovery and seeing and wisdom that rises up in that kind of patience.
Yeah. And again, going back to the idea that if you don't know who you are, you will lose your soul. I think but see, all this has to be put into context. And again, I have to refer back to the Bible. Psalm 37:7-9. It says, "Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Fret not yourself over the one who prospers in his way, over the man who carries out evil devices. Refrain from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not yourself, it tends only to evil. For the evildoers shall be cut off, but those who wait for the Lord shall inherit the land. See, there is a power. There's such a, as you mentioned, there is a great power in realizing that you just don't know. And in a way, it's a kind of ultimate knowing. To not know is a greater sometimes knowing than knowing something, because there's always room for being shown in that knowing that you don't know. I get to my point many times in my daily life where I go, I don't know. I just don't know what the answer is. And then I want to know what the answer is. And when I want to know, ask and you shall receive. I want to know what the answer is. And I also want to know what the questions are. The questions
Mhm.
are just as important, if not more important, than the answers. So be still before the Lord. Wait patiently. And here's how you develop character is that you see that you don't have the patience, that you want what you want when you want it. You want everybody out of the way so that you can acquire and get to where you want to be. But unfortunately, that's an empty victory when you get what you want when you want it, because you're still not at that place where it is fulfilling. To get what it is that is meant for you is so much greater. And to know that you don't know opens a door that allows for you to go down a path that you could never discover on your own. It has to be shown to you.
Yeah.
Know the
Yeah.
truth and it shall make you free.
Yeah. Otherwise, we're doing the same things again and again because it's all inside the same kind of, through the same kind of lens and through the
Yep.
same kind of framework we've been doing things. And so to me, the patience also allows for an expansion and expanding awareness, getting the big picture. And it's not about being a doormat. I think a lot of people hear the word patience and it's like, okay, I'm just going to have to be a doormat or just
It's not
sit
that.
around and wait, and it's just wait and see, or I'll sit on the idea. No, I think patience is actually you do what there is to do, what to do. And it may be just taking one single step. It's like I started this podcast, invited you in pretty early on, and was like, okay, that's just, I felt a calling to do it or called to do it. And I needed to get a mic and a camera. Okay. So that was a first step. Did I know anything else about it? No. But then the next steps get revealed.
Yeah.
And I figure out, okay, I need some lights or I need a topic or, okay. And it's just taking one step in front of the other, but there's a kind of patience. I'm not doing this to make money or build a huge following. I could care less. It's nice if those things happen, but they'll only happen because of, how do I want to say this? There's a relatedness of being true. If I'm being true, David, we're being true, then we'll attract people that line up with.
An army of truthers.
Yeah, I
No,
like
that's not
that.
it.
Truthers. Yeah, truth first.
Yes.
Truth
Truth
firsters.
first. I like that. That's better.
But it's like that, right? And just being patient, we show up and it's just, okay, being patient with how it goes and what unfolds. But if there's something to speak your mind about, okay, if I have a sense, okay, it's time to put my voice out. All right, let's do it. But that's all I know.
Yeah.
And I'm patient with whatever the outcomes are. But I think there's something about speak your mind, speak your heart, always do the hard things, the confront that. I think it's a military saying, but the black matter, those scary places, those scary monsters in your mind, the scary demons or the demon of doubt within you, or saying, I don't have anything to say, or no, if I stick my neck out, people will come for it and they'll cut it off. Yeah, they will. But really, none of that matters. What matters is it's the monsters in your mind that's stopping you.
Yeah. Yes.
So
yes.
Right. And it's important not to use patience as a justification to not do the thing you should be doing.
Always true. Absolutely.
I'm just going to be patient. And no, it's not. Patience isn't like that. It's patience actually, to me, allows light upon your path and you see the next step to take and then the next step. And it's faith without knowing. I forget, there's a Martin Luther King quote about the staircase. And it's just, you take the first step. I don't remember the quote, but it's having faith. You don't know all the steps is the gist of it. And you take this first step and then you'll take the next step and you have faith, you may not even know where it's taking you. But what I do know is everyone listening, including me, there's something out of place in your life. And if you're patient and you actually press pause and stop doing and being a busybody, being distracted, losing your soul and dispersing, bleeding out your essence in all these different ways, if you stop doing that, then you start being patient with yourself. You slow down and you start noticing something's out of place in your life. Maybe something's out of place in the room you're sitting in, or in your car, or your house, or in your relationships, or with your money. Fix it now. Just because you see you'll see what to do through patience. You have shit to do it or lose yourself. And that's it. And I think speaking to men nowadays, to me, a lot of men nowadays try to be happy and balanced. But I think if that's your goal as a man, you can't be a man.
No.
Not like a healthy, like whole man. You
let me read
you
a
need
couple.
to have you need to have the focus and hard work, like doing the hard things, doing the things you don't want to do. You got to do the things you don't want to do. And you just do the things that you see to do, that it's right to do. And being strong and being a real man isn't about just being happy or balanced. No, you'll be out of balance.
Yeah.
If you've got higher purpose, you're going to be out of balance, but at your core, you'll have the ground of your being. And something like that. It's a contradiction, but it is.
No, there's a payoff. There's a payoff.
Yeah.
Listen to this one.
Yeah.
Jean-Jacques Rousseau said this: patience is bitter, but its fruit is sweet. Oh, I feel it in my mind right now.
Yeah.
Here's another one. George Seville said, a man who is master of patience is master of everything else. Okay. Julius Caesar says, it's easier to find men who will volunteer to die than to find those who are willing to endure pain with patience.
Yeah.
One more.
Okay.
One more from Carl Jung, the great Carl Jung. Even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness, and the word happy would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. Everything in life is a huge, gigantic balance. You don't realize that you're a part of it. You make it about you. Narcissism is the loss of a recognition of things outside of yourself. So everything becomes about you and what you want and what you don't want. But I go back to this idea that there are two lives for everybody. One has a happy ending and one does not. And through patience is the crucible where all the impurities are removed, so that you don't get to that place in life where you don't know who you are and you do lose your soul.
Yeah. It reminds me of somewhere in the Bible, it says, he who striveth for mastery is temperate in all his ways. In all things. And to me, patience is at the center of that. To be temperate versus just chasing all your appetites and chasing the next success or chasing the next thing, chasing the next relationship, chasing different than patience where you're allowing and attraction, your energy is attractive and you're clearing for opportunities and for bigger things that are bigger than the self you are right now.
I have another beautiful quote for you.
Okay, you wrap up with this and I'll give one and then we're done.
Okay. Someone named Sadi, S-A-D-I, says, have patience. All things are difficult before they become easy.
Say that again. Say it one more time.
Have patience. All things are difficult before they become easy.
Yeah.
It's so simple and yet it's so real and so true.
Yeah, I think it was Paul that said in the Bible, do not despise the days of small beginnings.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a kind of patience right there, right?
Yep.
This is what I'll wrap up with is Rilke, the poet Rilke said something that I think is pretty great. But he said, and I say it great from the standpoint of what we're speaking to here around patience, but he said, the easy path leads to the hard life.
Ah, that's so good.
And the
That's so
hard
good.
path leads to the easeful life. And it's like that, doing the things that need to be done. And that means doing hard things. We need the challenge. It's like a lion and the gazelle. I used to take my boys on safari in Africa, and you watch these like gazelles and the impalas being chased by these lions. But you see this perfect, like both the lion and the impala they're maximizing their survival and their fitness and but they need that stress of each other, from each other.
Yeah.
If the lion just laid around all day and the impala, same thing, they just become weak and diseased.
And yet,
that's what happens when they're domesticated or put in zoos.
Yeah, that's true.
They just become weak animals. But human beings need like the kind of stress of doing hard things, going 10x, like having big things in your life.
Yep.
Is much more easeful because you rise up and there's flow and there's a simplicity in it. I learned that a long time ago versus when you're just trudging along, trying to get along. It's like, oh, I can't even get out of bed today.
I will leave with this thought here from St. Francis de Sales.
Okay.
He says, have patience with all things, but first of all, with yourself. And that's, as a human being, just step back and look at yourself and see yourself objectively for a moment and realize you're on your way. That's what matters.
All right, you all, thank you. Keep disrupting and rising above the drift. Challenge the norm. Create a new narrative for your life. I'm Baron Baptiste, David Masters, signing off until next time. Stay true, stay bold, stay blessed, and peace out.